Welcome to the MiningNewsWire Podcast, powered by IBN. This original audio production delivers market and sector insights, as well as exclusive interviews with innovative executives shaping the future in fast-moving industries, and may feature a client partner of IBN or one of the 60-plus investor-focused brands within IBN's dynamic brand portfolio. As a multifaceted financial news and publishing company, IBN leverages its extensive distribution network, utilizing multiple proprietary corporate communication tools to introduce both public and private companies to a vast and diverse audience of investors, consumers, influencers, journalists, and other targeted segments of the public. IBN may have received compensation to produce this audio content. Please be sure to read IBN's entire disclaimers for full disclosures. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the next revelatory episode of IBN's MiningNewsWire Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, and thanks so much for making us part of your day as well as part of your due diligence. You've tuned into the Investor Brand Network, where we shine a spotlight on some of the smartest and freshest plays out there in the market today. And to that end, I'm going to be speaking with Renforth Resources Incorporated. The company traded on the Canadian Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol RFR, on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol 9RR, and on the OTCQB under the ticker symbol RFHRF. We are lucky enough to be joined by the president and CEO of the company, and that is Nicole Brewster. Nicole, thanks so much for making time for us today.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So, Nicole, let's start with the basic building blocks of the company. If you would, describe your company and its business model for us now.
Thanks. Yes, we are a junior exploration company. However, the name is a little misleading. We're not exploring. We have two fantastic assets with proven mineralization and resources, and we're in the process of developing those through the exploration cycle, adding and creating resources, at which point we will try to take them into production and or look for a partner. The business model really is the advancement of the asset towards building mines. Now, in this business, along the way, M&A, everyone's familiar with it. We may get bought out. If so, it would be a good thing. It would be at a premium to the share price, et cetera, et cetera. So our business model is to develop the assets we have found towards production.
Well, you can learn more about this company at their website, and that's renforthresources.com. And of course, visit us here at the Investor Brand Network. Click on the Clients tab, and there, in alphabetical order, you'll find the company Renforth Resources. So as I mentioned at the outset of this interview, you are the leadership of the company, being the CEO for the company, as well as the president. So let's learn a little bit about your background, what brought you to where you are here today, as well as let's learn a little bit about the team you've surrounded yourself with.
Fair enough. I have literally grown up in the exploration business. My father's a successful exploration geologist who worked all over the world, and that's what we talked about at the kitchen table when he was in the country. Myself, I actually was a stockbroker for a while. I'm an entrepreneur. I run a consulting company, and I run a couple other businesses, so I'm very business-focused. I'm also a significant shareholder of Renforth, so I'm trying to align my business focus with return to shareholders of Renforth. One of my entrepreneurial endeavors is that I'm a contractor in the exploration business, which led me to become the president of Renforth some time ago. And in the process of being president of Renforth, we've acquired, looked at, and in fact discarded several assets. But we also acquired an asset, established the first resource, and sold that asset at a profit to the company. That funding allowed us to acquire our critical minerals property, which we hold in Quebec, and we also hold a gold deposit in Quebec. So it's been a process of increasing the asset base. Each asset is better than the last, and we're able to move them forwards. So I bring to the table my background in geology, while not a geologist, my entrepreneurial ability and my ability to execute as a very cost-conscious consultant in exploration. So it's multifaceted, my background. The team around me consists of numerous geologists, both as advisors and as, field geologists for the company. We have an excellent mining engineer on our board. We have an excellent geologist on our board. And we have relationships in the business, in part because my family name's been in this business for a while, that we can draw on and bring any expertise we require to bear. So it's fairly diverse, the team. It's very effective. We're all consultants. There's no payroll money taken out of the company at all. The money all goes in the ground. The CFO and myself get paid in shares. So we're completely aligned with shareholders in that regard. And we're just doing our best to move our two exciting assets forward.
Well, that's excellent, and I appreciate that overview of your background on you and the overview of the team around you. So looking back on 2024, and feel free to go back even further if you like, but as it relates to your projects or as it relates to the corporate side of the company, what do you see as some of the milestones you've been able to achieve in the last 12 months or so?
Well, we did a few things. We have two assets, as I've said to you, and I'll discuss our gold deposit first. Last year, 2024, last 12 months, we actually did a reinterpretation of our gold deposit. It's a very interesting and far more fertile setting than it was presupposed to be. So this interpretation opens up a significant amount of high potential ground, very likely to be carrying gold on the property in a location or areas that were not previously understood. And then, in fact, earlier this year, a couple months ago, we started a soil sampling program, and we found evidence of gold that supports our new interpretation in a location where we've never found gold on this property before. So that was quite exciting because that really substantiates what we're talking about, and it's leading us down the path of unlocking significant value in our gold deposit. We've done more work on our critical minerals property. It's vast. It's about 300 square kilometers, and it's got several areas of mineralization we've identified so far. One of the things we did was we made a discovery of copper and silver in the north part of the property called Beaupré. We stripped that. We've sampled it. We've done some soil sampling outside of it. We're working that forwards in the exploration cycle. And we also actually did a significant amount of drilling, and we've done a lot more science work, geochemical work, and modeling work on the crown jewel of our critical minerals property. So the 300 square kilometer property is called our Malartic Metals Package, and it hosts mineralization at Victoria, Lalonde, Beaupré, we just mentioned, two other showings of the Victoria and Lalonde mineralization. It hosts gold, and it actually hosts lithium in sediments, though we haven't found the source of that lithium. But the main focus at Malartic Metals Package is Victoria. It's 20 kilometers long. It's a polymetallic, and what it consists of is fundamentally nickel, zinc, copper, plus cobalt, plus silver, plus gold. There's a few things going on there, but it's unique in that it's 20 kilometers long. It starts at surface. It's in some of Canada's best mining real estate, and what we managed to do was some significant drilling the end of 2023. Results came in the first quarter 2024, and we've, using that data to calculate where we should be looking next, fundamentally. So that property is unique in its location and its scale, and it's got hydroelectricity on the property, a road on the property, and a rail line nearby. So it's a fantastic location from which to be in the process of proving new zinc, copper, and nickel mineralization. So that's what we've been doing. We've been doing a little bit of soil work, geochemical work, because for all we have the mineralization at surface, it's at surface in a fairly narrow strip, and we know that it's gone somewhere, but it's gone there undercover. So what we're actually working on currently, and we'll be in the field again in the near future, is soil geochemistry. It's trying to vector where the bigger pool of mineralization lies and where our next drill targets are. So that's kind of what we've been up to, and we're doing that, in fact, on both properties currently. So that's our fall 2024 plan. Listeners may not be aware, but in summer last year, Quebec closed the forests we couldn't go in. We couldn't use the roads to do any exploration due to forest fires. So we're having to make up for lost ground this summer. And that's why we're focusing a little bit on some of this boots on the ground stuff to better position us for our next round of drilling.
Well, that's exciting. I appreciate your insight, and I also appreciate where it's coming from with you and your family's background and immersion within this industry. I've got to ask you, kind of taking a step back and looking at mining as a whole here in 2024 and how it's changed with things like battery metals. We're just finding more and more uses for these precious metals. How do you see this industry shaping up over the next few years?
Well, I mean, the mining industry, my industry, the industry of exploration, has been in a prolonged drought, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
Valuations of the stock is completely disconnected from the valuation of the asset, whether you look at that valuation in terms of how much money's been spent on the assets, which is the old school way of doing it, or how much money the asset should have spent on it to prove its resources. Or even if you look at the asset from the point of view of how much metal's actually in the ground, the stock prices have completely disconnected, and that's just a product of there's always been a new kid on the block. We've had a lot happening in the world in the last fundamentally eight years or so. While exploration has been very depressed, we've seen a lot of innovation and new technology. So where do I think mining's going? Mining's not going anywhere. It is a fundamental requirement to how we live our life. But I do think that we're going to see changes within the junior mining stock market. I think we're starting to see those changes with the major, like the handful of global multinational producing companies. With the recent increase in the price of gold, which I'm not gonna send this conversation sideways into the macro issues around why gold is increasing, but I think we're seeing a comeback of mining. I think it's going to take a little bit of time, but it's coming.
Well, I agree with you, and I think you hit on a great point within that, which is that technology is so rapidly advancing and you are able to be more effective. And you talked about it with your team, a lean, mean, low burn rate, almost no burn rate, in the sense that everybody is a consultant. You're taking shares instead of salary. You've aligned yourself shoulder to shoulder with your shareholders. And we're talking about these metals that are needed for the future, which right there on your homepage, I can see nickel, copper, cobalt, zinc, platinum, palladium. And, we've covered a lot here in this interview, but I want to also understand, and you talked a little bit about what you'll be doing here in the fall of 2024. As you look forward, even in the fall and then in the spring and winter and then spring into 2025, what do you see as some of the operational goals, or what would you like to see your company achieve?
Well, we'll complete our perhaps not entirely exciting geochemistry work. I'm looking to work with academia as well. There are some very smart professors. Canada's Mining University, I'm in discussions with one of them to bring his expertise to the table. Unfortunately, we had an absolutely brilliant advisor who passed away. So I'm looking to augment our technical academic abilities a bit. I will be looking to drill in early 2025 would be the target timeline for that. We're also doing some very exciting work with regards to testing our material to see if we could bring technology to bear and optimize processing of that material. We received a grant from the government of Quebec to look at metallurgical solutions to make sure the material can be processed. Now, they're critical and strategic metals, but we used to call them base metals. They're very simple to process. They're basic. They're not complex. We have a long history of mining them on this planet. So I hope to continue that, but we're moving towards it. We're currently seeing if we can optimize and pre-concentrate our material, which would increase our grade, would reduce the use of water, electricity, chemicals, waste. It would reduce the amount of waste. It would be a great environmental stewardship thing to do, and it's looking quite like we'll be able to implement that technology as well. So we're doing that with the base metal property. We will pivot and do that with the gold property as well, so that we can be as cost-conscious, environmentally conscious, and productive as possible, and drilling, but we're moving the assets forwards, and ultimately I'll be looking for partners. The work required and the scale of what I'm doing is quite shocking, in fact, for a junior mining company. Partners would, we can use somebody else's capital to try and limit our shareholder dilution and our shares outstanding. We bring a partner to the table and try and use their capital to move forward. So that's also on my to-do list. And that's into next year issue as well.
Well, thank you so much for that. And once again, everyone, we are speaking with Nicole Brewster, President and CEO of Renforth Resources. Those ticker symbols again on the CSE RFR, on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange 9RR, and on the OTCQB RFHRF. You can go to renforthresources.com. On that homepage, scroll down and sign up for the Renforth newsletter. That's a great way to stay in the know in this company. Another great way, navigate to Investor Brand Network and get on that client tab, and then click on company news, and you will see mining news breaks and all kinds of wonderful articles written by the staff here at Investor Brand Network going over the opportunities and the projects and a lot of the things that we've covered today. Nicole, I want to thank you so much for your time and your insight today. I expect great things from you and your company here in 2024 and well beyond. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you so much.
All right, for Nicole Brewster, this is Stuart Smith saying thanks so much for listening.
The MiningNewsWire podcast is an original content production powered by IBN, a multifaceted financial news and publishing company that delivers next-generation corporate communication solutions. Utilizing proprietary corporate communication tools such as news aggregation and syndication, social communication, and brand awareness techniques, among others, IBN introduces both public and private companies to diverse audiences to enhance reach and recognition. IBN may receive compensation for services and solutions provided to its client partners. You should assume that the owners, officers, and directors of IBN or financial analysts mentioned in this production may hold a position in and may intend to trade the securities in their own accounts. This production is not an offer or recommendation to buy or sell any securities that may be mentioned in this production. The information in this broadcast is presented solely for informative purposes and is not intended to be or should it be construed as investment advice. As in all investments, investment in the featured companies carries inherent investment risk. Listeners should review the companies thoroughly with a registered investment advisor or registered stockbroker. This production by IBN is not purported to be a complete study of the featured company or other companies mentioned. Information used in statements of fact have been obtained from featured companies and other sources but not verified nor guaranteed by IBN as to completeness and accuracy. Such information is subject to change without notice. Please see IBN's full disclaimers and disclosures at www.ibn.fm/disclaimer. Music in this episode is by Infraction. For more, visit inaudio.org.